The royal family just dropped a bombshell. No warning, no leak. People say it's bigger than any scandal or coronation. Why is the palace so quiet all of a sudden? Why are William and Kate in the middle of it all? Hit the button to subscribe. We're taking everything out of the box right now. There was only one line on the royal website at first with no fanfare or details. A formal announcement will be made at 6 p.m. There was no context, no pre-briefing, and no leaks to the press. Everyone was just waiting quietly. People didn't know what to expect, but they knew something big was going to happen. The news media went into overdrive in just a few minutes. Reporters ran to the palace gates, news anchors filled airtime with guesses, and theories flew around. Was there a sudden change in the royal family, a surprising health update, or a scandal? Everyone in the country seemed to be holding their breath that we could fix these things, and in the end, I want my kids' future to be better than reporters thought would happen next. When the clock struck 6, the video didn't show King Charles or Queen Camilla. Prince William and Princess Kate were the only ones in the frame. There were no advisors with them, no red carpets, no royal fanfare. There were only two calm voices in a dimly lit room at Kensington Palace. William spoke first, and his words were strong but well thought out. The monarchy is more than just a symbol, it's a duty. He didn't speak in code or ceremony. He spoke like someone who knew how important the moment was. Then Kate stepped forward, calm, clear, and in control. Her voice was both kind and strong. "This isn't about tradition," she said. "It's about trust." That was the start of a quiet revolution. People will get tired of waiting, and all these young people feel like nothing is ever happening, so of course they're gonna get angry. Not only was their vision impressive, but so was their action. Kate said that the Diana Initiative, a global nonprofit, would honor Princess Diana's legacy of kindness, honesty, and service. But this wasn't just a tribute, it was a mission. Kate would be the public face of it, going to shelters, talking to families, and fighting for communities that don't get enough help. It was clear that this was her cause, not just a title for a ceremony. Her voice echoed Diana's spirit, but it had its own unique purpose. Some people say that this moment didn't just remember the past, it tried to get it back. William and Kate's announcement was much more than just the start of a charity. It was a new plan for the royal family that the press quickly called the modern monarchy blueprint. I will definitely try it, even though I've never done it before, because it's so much fun. 3 main ideas made it important: being open and being there. There would be fewer ceremonial duties. Instead, cutting ribbons would come second. William and Kate would put things like climate resilience at the top of their list. Mental health and fairness in education in a monarchy based on tradition. This was a big deal because it was the first time that senior royals weren't just talking about change, they were actually doing it. You'd expect royal accounts to celebrate, support, or at least repost the news, but what happened next was something colder: silence. King Charles and Queen Camilla did not say anything in public. So there was no official endorsement and no family photo was reposted to the palace page. Later, insiders said that Charles's first reaction was confusion. He is said to have asked, "What did they do?" Camilla's reaction to age shocked her, but it went deeper. She didn't just see Kate's spotlight on Diana as a tribute, she saw it as a challenge. Do you feel that relationships come out so strongly that it's really powerful? For years, Camilla had worked to change how people saw her. Now, in just a few minutes, public interest had shifted again. While the palace froze, the public responded with warmth, social media exploded, and within hours, the People's Queen began to trend. It used to be a nickname for Diana. Now people were calling Kate by it. After the announcement, her first public appearances weren't at royal balls. Instead, she went to a mental health clinic for teens and then a women's shelter, both of which were not planned and had no cameras or press. The people she met later posted the picture, and one young girl said, "She didn't talk down to us, she looked us in the eye." For a lot of people, that moment spoke more than 100 royal speeches behind palace doors. The reaction was anything but happy, but like most jobs, it isn't what it seems. Yes, Charles was very upset, even though he was trying to stay neutral in public. His reign had just started, but it felt like the focus had already moved on. Reports say that Camilla was more upset. She asked for the Diana initiative to be moved under the official palace's control, which would have put it under royal control. However, her advisors told her not to do this because it could make her look controlling or jealous in the face of something that was so popular. So they decided to stay quiet, which only made the difference between the old ways and what William and Kate stood for inside Kensington Palace even bigger. William wasn't surprised by the tension, but what hurt was how cold his father was and how he didn't acknowledge him. Still, he stood firm. He told an aide that this isn't a discussion, it's a plan for him. This wasn't rebellion, it was a fix. The monarchy had been quiet for a long time, which had hurt his mother and more recently his wife. William was done asking for permission. He didn't yell or argue, he just did what he wanted. And in doing so, he started to change the royal family, not with violence, but with quiet determination. What happened next wasn't made public, but it was clear. Royal aides started asking for meetings through Kensington instead of Buckingham. Instead of following Charles and Camilla, photographers started following William and Kate. There weren't any press releases about a change in power, but people who were close to the royals saw where attention went, influence followed, and more importantly, younger royals started to work together on charity projects that fit with William's vision. The center of royal power was shifting, not through a coup or a fight, but through trust. It was impossible to ignore what the public thought. If you can get something out of 10 years of earthshot, it's worth it. Yes, Kate's popularity rose to levels not seen since Diana was at her best. Her calm presence and meaningful actions had a big effect on people. Charles, on the other hand, watched from the sidelines. He was said to be sad about William's success, but not because of it. He told an aide, "I've waited my whole life for this, and now the spotlight is gone." It wasn't anger, it was a mirror. A reign that started out as a tradition now felt like a shadow of something newer, more relatable, and more emotionally powerful. There were no big ceremonies or fancy receptions when the Diana initiative started. Instead, it started with a kind plan and a quiet promise to change what leadership looks like. Kate and William didn't just come up with a program, they came up with a way of thinking that was quickly becoming the royal family's unexpected plan for the future of society. I hope we could and can become right from the very first time we met. From the start, Kate knew what she wanted. She started organizing real projects instead of just symbolic ones, setting up a network of mental health counselors across the UK who could help grieving kids and teens for free was one of the first things that needed to be done. William and Harry came up with the idea because they both lost their mother as children and had to deal with it on their own. It wasn't just giving money, it was healing yourself and then helping others. She also started talks about access to maternal health care by holding closed-door meetings with expert survivors and community leaders. There were no reporters or rules, they were just there to listen. "We wait for pain to become public before we act," she said in one meeting. "I'd rather listen than let someone suffer in silence." That sentence made the news not because it was dramatic, but because it felt true. I figured he might have thought about it a little, but no, it was a complete shock when it happened. At the same time, the initiative set a precedent that no other royal program had ever followed: full openness. Every donation, expense, and activity would be recorded, made public, and checked by an outside group. Kate insisted on it. "If we want people to trust us, we should show them we've earned it." She allegedly told her team that line became a guiding mantra. But it didn't stop at paperwork. The biggest change was how William and Kate saw service. They weren't going to act like royalty, they were going to act like responsible people. William started going to climate resilience workshops in places that had been hit hard by bad weather. He sat in roundtable meetings as a listener, with no one on either side of him, just a notepad and a desire to learn. William was surprised when a child at a flood relief center asked him, "Are you here to help or just be seen?" He said right away, "To help, I know that's what I have to do in my position. And if I don't succeed at that, please let me know that the clip taken by a volunteer went viral and that it said everything about the change that was happening behind the scenes." Behind every photo, there was a follow-through. Behind every speech, there was a strategy. And behind every gesture, there was genuine intent. They weren't trying to outdo anyone. They were trying to fix the broken link between the crown and the people it was supposed to serve in the palace. Not everyone was happy. Some people on the inside quietly wondered if too much openness might lead to criticism, but William stood his ground. He is said to have told an aide, "If we hide behind tradition, we lose the chance to grow." That way of thinking was present in everything he and Kate did. The Diana Initiative started working with organizations around the world, not just getting royal support, but also working with them. They made false and shocking claims about the royal family that made her more paranoid and afraid. Not only were royal interests taken into account when planning international conferences, but so were issues that people cared about, like health equity. Support for climate justice starts in early childhood. The most radical thing about it was not the content, but the way it was done. William and Kate weren't just hosting meetings. They were also going to schools, shelters, and community centers, sometimes with cameras and sometimes without. Their schedule was no longer based on palace duties, it was based on people. Their model was catching on. Younger royals started asking how they could help more meaningfully. Some even asked the Diana Initiative team for briefings so they could learn this new way of serving. It was no longer just a campaign, it was changing the way the royals worked. What do you think? Is this the kind of royal future we need? Please let us know what you think in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe if you want more royal news like this. We still have more to find out.